If it is scary for you, it must be scary for a lot
Very
of people.
scary.
Listen, we start very promptly at 6:30, and I'm going to ask Jeremy to talk about anything he wants, and if he doesn't, I'll ask him a couple of questions, and afterwards I want to throw open the floor, as there are so many of you, and I'm sure that there will be many questions, and all I ask is that you ask intelligent questions. If they're stupid or inappropriate in my mind, you will be passed over. And I know there are one or two journalists lurking around. They're always lurking around. And the last time, somebody was identified, exposed by Naomi Campbell, and there was a huge chorus of boo. So be careful. Now, Jeremy, what would you like to talk about?
Well,
you want to say anything?
I can't think. I have prepared nothing because I'm very busy at the moment preparing for a new show. And so,
you're thinking out of a new name for your show?
Yeah, we do need a new name. That's, yeah.
Well, in a minute, towards the end, I'm going to ask 10 of you to propose a new name for Jeremy Clarkson's
And
show.
I'll explain why it's not possible. Because we've looked at every single combination of two English words.
Okay.
And they're all previously trademarked in Uzbekistan or France or somewhere of that nature. So you can't have any name for any company.
Who can quickly name a possible name?
Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah, thought of that.
Jeremy Clarkson. Is
Done that. James May objected.
Any other?
Drive time.
What?
Drive time.
Drive.
Drive time.
Time. Well, we would, except we've called our own website Drive Tribe, and that's too similar, and you can't have Drive Time because that's already registered. We've done, honestly, we've been through every combination.
Have you looked up the
Apart from
pronunciation?
It's driving along.
Why do you call it a fruit? It's always, I mean, orange, apple, they're always, how do you call it?
We've thought of rivers, we've been through every river. The only river that isn't actually trademarked is the Earwash.
How about yellow?
No, gone.
Gone.
Yellow's already, there's a company called Yellow. Everything is gone, it's impossible.
Well, it is. But listen, I want to ask you a question, as you haven't got anything prepared. Will you please?
Well, I have nothing to promote.
Yes.
Well, my publisher's sitting there. Have I got a book?
Have you got a book?
Yeah, I have got a book. What is it?
How much is the advance? What is the kind of advance you give somebody like Jeremy Clarkson?
Well, it depends how much progress we make over the next hour.
The other day, Boris Johnson published his tax returns, and I was absolutely astonished that his biggest income was actually copyright royalties. And one wouldn't have thought that one would associate him with book publishing. So, somebody like you must be absolutely radiant.
I think I ought to be.
Well, there it is, that you
I'm
are.
staring at Roland.
But talking about
Books,
money,
I think the books have dwindled now to nothing, haven't they? Are they not selling anymore? I mean, I'm not on the television anymore, I'm not on the radio anymore. I pretty much disappeared from public view, and this is the largest audience I'm ever going to have this year.
but Piers Morgan, in fact, today said that you are now a has-been, and you will not enjoy the kind of status of stardom that you have.
He said we would have 100,000 viewers, but I don't think it'll be that high. So I don't think.
But you know what you can tell him, because Newsweek has had a really hard time, and over the years has had millions of circulation, until it was sold for $1 to some man, and then it was resold to a thing called IBT, and do you know what? It's only got 100,000 readers.
Newsweek has?
Yes, instead of 500,000 or 2 million.
Well, that's all that he gets on his breakfast television programme.
Yes,
Which
well,
is
you can
where
tell
we
him
set
that. Perhaps everybody watching you will be those who are working in Newsweek.
Yes, no, I can't imagine. I mean, Amazon Prime is relatively small in the UK at the moment, so we're not going to have huge.
Well, there are 2 million subscribers.
Yeah, there's 2 million subscribers, and then there's a lot more than that in America, and they're behind. Netflix. But I think that the point of us going along there is that they'll be able to batter doors down by saying that the people previously on Top Gear, because they won't have a name for us because we still can't think of one, are now only available on Amazon Prime, and then people will sign up, and then there'll be lots more people watching. and you get free shopping. I joined Amazon yesterday. I'm rather ashamed to admit it's taken 6 months. And has anyone tried Amazon shopping online with Amazon? Has anyone done it? Somebody? Yeah. How do you stop? You can't stop shopping. You just think, oh, I've got a denim shirt, I have some t-shirts and some trousers. And that leather shoulder bag looks nice, and I want a selfie stick and some shoes. I'm going to have no money left because I'm going to buy it all. I'm going to buy everything they sell. It's absolutely addictive. I can't recommend it.
We're talking about money. Were you pleased? Do you think it's worth it for you to have gone away with £14 million when you left Top Gear? Was it worth it, or was it
14? It's a lot more than that.
I thought it was 8.5 dividend, and I think 5 million something.
What is very entertaining, and this is for the journalists in the room, I think, is that there's some conjecture that Chris Evans is having a very hard time from certain quarters of the newspaper world at the moment as he attempts to put Top Gear back together again. And everybody is suggesting that I'm behind it all, that I'm somehow trying to scupper him. But I discovered the other day that every time it gets recommissioned, I get paid.
Oh, well.
Even if I'm not on it. So that's a curious BBC bit of contract, that really is, but I've ended up, so I wish you all the very best.
but whatever it was, whether it was much more or more than £14 million, whatever it was, do you regret it? If there was a magical moment when you could have withdrawn that little fracas with Mr. whatever his name is, would you have prefer to have just woken up in a...
To be honest, no, I think I'll be honest about this rather than lie. Which is my natural state, but no, it's, I think obviously we would have just stayed at the BBC, and then the show would have got tired and boring, and we'd have eventually piloted it into a hillside, and that would have been the end of that. And so, at the time you think, oh dear, this is all a bit tragic, but because we've now been forced to reinvent the whole thing, and we're online where you can a horse, so you can do anything online.
How do you do that?
I should imagine you lift its tail up. First. Anyway, the point is, yes, I don't know about horses anatomy. I must look more carefully. Anyhow, the point is, it's forced us, all four of us, the three presenters and the producer, Andy Wilner, to actually concentrate on reinventing it and then starting again. So now, looking at it, I think, well, that was a fantastic thing to have happened. Although, as you say, at the time, I did go home and think, ooh, this is a bit ugly.
In fact, you said that you weren't going to do it, and then you changed your mind. Obviously, there was a lot of cash flashing in front of your eyes.
What was I not going to do?
I thought that after you left, you said, well, I'm now going to retire. I'm not going to do another Top Gear.
Did I say that?
I think you did.
No, I wanted to do a farming programme.
Yeah, well, you did.
Nobody wants to watch that.
Yeah. Well, you don't know the anatomy of a horse. I think
I don't know anything about
farming might be a bit difficult.
It would be hopeless. I wouldn't be able to do it at all. No. So I thought I'll do farming, then I thought I'll do nothing, because if you say you'll do nothing, and then you do nothing, it looks like you've done it on purpose. Rather than like Danny Cohen, who left the BBC because he had a number of different, this was the director of television who fell out with me, and the other way around. And he left the BBC and he said he had a number of different jobs he had to look into. Well, 6 months, he's still looking. Far better to say, well, actually, I'm not doing anything, and then if you end up doing something great.
I think you might have rooted him. Now, talking one last question about money. I mean, you once published your own account number and your bank source code, your complete details of your bank account.
I did that.
And your address in the Sun newspaper, the highest circulating newspaper in the world.
Yeah.
And you thought that nobody could possibly pinch money from
your account. What it was that some hapless civil servant, and this happens all the time, I'm sure you know, left a laptop on a train. I mean, they're always doing it, and then, oh no, the country's secrets are at risk. Yes, if it's been picked up by someone who hasn't handed it into the police, and who can get past the password, and can understand whatever's written on it. But somebody had, I don't know, a bank or somebody had left, everybody's account numbers had suddenly become available. And I was thinking, yes, but if I have somebody's account number, the only thing I can do is pay into their account. You can't go into that's a useless piece of information. So I then published my bank account number in the Sun and said, there you are, that's my bank account number, this is the sort code, this is the bank where I bank at. What are you going to do with that? And the Diabetic Society helped itself to £500.
It was a direct debit.
It was a direct debit. You see,
ongoing.
It was, I hadn't thought of direct debit. Then, having set themselves up, yes, having set themselves up a direct debit, I then had to be the bastard and tell the Diabetic Society that I was cancelling their direct debit. So yeah, that was a bit booish actually there, but I got well done to them.
But have you changed your sort code?
No.
But immediately go out and look up the past issue of the Sun and get their address number and everybody.
I still do have that bank. Thank you for pointing that out. I still do have that bank account.
Yeah, you ought to be very careful, especially with all that money, more than £14 million by the BBC, and an ongoing royalty whenever Chris Evans.
I know that's the best bit.
Yeah, exactly. And anyway. We all know that you are somebody who either somebody absolutely love or absolutely hate, and you've been named as one of the most irritating men in Britain and so forth. And I was astonished to discover that you were actually ranked 66th out of 100. I mean, did you read who was
the most annoying?
As the man whom, the one Briton that most people want to hate.
And I'm 66.
Yeah, 66.
Pretty tragic, really, isn't it?
I know it is.
I would have hoped to have done. You either want to be first or not on the list, don't you?
Who do you think is the most irritating man in Britain?
Jeremy Corbyn.
Jeremy Corbyn and
Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan, probably quite irritating. Although we've kissed and made up now.
But you have called Gordon Brown a silly.
No. Yes. No, I called him a one-eyed Scottish idiot.
Yeah, but the blind society then got on to you.
That was
but nobody managed to contradict you with your calling him a silly.
I called him a silly but only in front of the Top Gear audience, and then in the live audience. But I called him a one-eyed Scottish idiot in front of everybody, and then when the BBC said I had to apologise, I said, well, how can we do that? I mean, he has got one eye. No, one-eyed Scottish, that's it, one-eyed Scottish idiot, and he is an idiot, and he's Scottish.
But you had to withdraw the one-eyed bit.
We had to withdraw the one-eyed bit,
yes.
So I had to say sorry for only having one eye. Which didn't seem like much of an apology to me, but anyway, that's...
But you did then continue to say, but I maintain that he's still an idiot.
He is an idiot. Well, he was, I don't know what he was.
What was the most idiotic thing he did?
Gordon Brown?
Yeah.
Well, I think when he sold all of the nation's gold when it was at its rock bottom price, that was pretty stupid, I think. And that was before he was even, long before he
That's a very intellectual challenge. I mean, one wouldn't have thought. If somebody asked you, why do you call him as so-and-so, you would say, because he sold gold at the lowest. I mean, that's a very intellectual
That was his starting point.
That was his starting point.
Then he went backwards from there. I was not a fan of him or Blair. Blair banned smoking, so he could never be forgiven. Prescott with a bus ride on the M4. I mean, there were just endless mistakes.
Do you think Prescott was a tough cookie when he punched that man back when he was pelted with a tomato?
Oh, I don't know. Well, that was fair enough, wasn't it?
Yeah. You were pied once. Did you react?
I was what?
Didn't somebody chuck you a pie, didn't you?
No, I told her there was too much sugar in it. She did. She shoved a pie in my face, and I actually started by saying "good shot," which it was. It was a really good shot, and then it was too sweet. So I just criticised her cooking rather than what she
Do you think political correctness is the most irritating thing in the world, in the modern world today?
No, trying to put sun cream on a man's back.
Somebody
Somebody says, could you just put sun cream on my back? That's more annoying than political. Or perhaps it's unpolitically correct to say that I wouldn't want to put sun cream on your back. I don't know. Political correctness is tiresome. I mean, we really suffered from it terribly at the beginning because when Cohen was there. I remember being hauled in once and he was, oh, you've got to come and see me. And oh God, Danny, it's a Tuesday, it's so busy, no, you've got to come. So I trudged all the way across London to Broadcasting House. And then you have to make small talk with his PA, and then the badge doesn't work, and he passed things, because it never ever did. And I finally got him to see it, and he said, I understand you have a new dog. Yes, Danny, what? And you've called it Didier Drogba. Yeah, I have. Racist. Why is it racist? We're all Chelsea fans in the family. My son thinks Didier Drogba's a god, therefore we've called the dog Didier. He said, well, please tell me the dog isn't black. It's Scotty dog. Oh, God. I just thought, should I have called it John Terrier? And he said, yes, that would be fine. So I said, well, we can call a white dog after a black player, a black dog. So I said, what about the Labrador? Can we have Frank Labrador? And that was, I mean, you just sit and think, how do they actually operate, these people? How do they keep their minds on what they're supposed to be doing when their minds are so full of stuff and nonsense?
I mean,
anyway, I was going to fall out.
Yes, I mean, there are all sorts of things you hate as well, right? When you were in room 101, you listed all sorts of things. I mean, why are you such why do you test caravan so much?
Have you ever driven anywhere?
No.
Well, there you are.
I've been in a caravan. It was a very good way of going to a wedding once, which was rather far away, and I didn't want to stay overnight. It's such a bore. So I got a caravan, and I was driven there, and I had a double bed, and I sat there until I got to the place. I parked outside the garden, I changed, I went to the party, and I came back, went back in my pajamas, and was driven back to London. I think it was very convenient.
Was it? Not for the people who were behind it, though. They were driving on. And the other
It was 3 o'clock in the morning.
I can't quite understand the people who go on holiday in caravans, because they presumably live in a house and it's got a roof and plumbing, and then they say, I know, for our holiday, let's go into a field and in a bucket. Why would you do that? Why would you live in a much smaller space in your holiday?
Yes, there are a lot of caravans now have their own lavatory. You don't have to go outside.
You have to empty the out somewhere. It doesn't just, it has to be taken away. And then they all compete to who can have the snazziest carrying bucket. And then they all walk around going, morning, and they're carrying their own turds with them. That's a holiday.
And how about the mentality of gold clubs? I mean,
No.
Yeah.
And presumably some golfers here, aren't there?
Yes.
They're always golfers. No, I just don't understand all that thing about rolling your trouser leg up. You can't come through that door until Wednesday unless you call the chairman and buy his initials, and you just think, well, I just don't understand it. It is, as Mark Twain said, good walk, ruined.
Now, what else do you want to talk about before I throw open the floor?
Well, no, you're asking all sorts of questions.
Yes, I mean, you astonished me with your identifying George Brown, the most idiotic thing. Gordon Brown, sorry, George Brown.
What would you think was his most idiotic?
Oh, he decommissioned Britannia, which was absolutely the most hideous thing he did. Yes, because here is the most symbolic. It was a treasure, and it really was something that was magnificent and beautiful and had such provenance. It's just that these new Labour people don't understand provenance. They don't have a sense of history.
No, they do. They just want to be rid of it.
And I think that the British always underdo themselves. I mean, they don't understand that people have great respect for it. I thought it was a very sad thing that he did that, as well as the fact that he sold all the gold at the bottom.
Well, he's had to sell the yacht because he'd lost all the money on the gold.
But I mean, other interest you have is Victoria Cross. I mean, you're an expert on VCs, aren't you?
I did a documentary on the Victoria Cross because my wife's father won Mars Honour.
Yes.
In a sustained 9-day shooting German epic. I mean, described as the finest VC of the Second World War. And then I found that quite interesting in what goes through somebody's mind to win a Victoria Cross is actually quite an interesting thing, because there's normally a loss of temper.
Like you.
I got fired. But no, they can somehow channel it into aggression. And it's a remarkable thing. And then there are some astonishing statistics about the Victoria Cross, because it's only been awarded, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, 1,100 times, I think, in its entire history. But there are a huge number of them. It's almost always to an elder sibling. There's a lot of brothers who've won it. There's 3 people from the same street in Canada who won it in various different campaigns. It's quite odd when you actually look at who's won that over the years as to what it is that causes you to be of a VC winning disposition. No, fascinating.
Around 1,100 winners of the Nobel Prize as well, which I wonder whether there was a correlation. One was absolutely brilliant, the other you have to lose your temper.
You sort of do.
Yes. But I mean, do you think if you were in the front line, do you think you might...
wouldn't be.
What?
I wouldn't be.
But
I
sure.
got shot as a deserter. I've been terribly cowardly. We were just doing some army training with one of our films the other day, and what I don't understand is they give you these grenades and extra magazines and notebooks and knives and communication equipment, and that all hung on your trousers. So every time you try to set off anywhere, your trousers fall down. Immediately my trousers were around my ankles. So I didn't really work that out. I wouldn't be on the front line. I just wouldn't be. I wouldn't be able to go over the top. I'd be too busy arguing with the officer that's at the hand.
Listen, but because it's Jeremy Clarkson, I want to maximise the amount of time that you, the general public, could ask a question. So let's have some questions, interesting ones. Yes, a man in a green jumper, green shirt, green socks. You belong to the Green Party.
No, I don't.
Thank God for that.
No,
because he hates green.
My question is, would you, as a politician, want to see the BBC privatised?
No. I like the BBC as it is. I think the BBC is a very good idea. I think it upholds standards that wouldn't be met without it. I think if you had taken it away 20 years ago, that would have given, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5 and so on, carte blanche to just make dribble, because you had to compete with the BBC in order to get everyone to watch your programmes, and therefore you had to be good. And I think the BBC, if it's well run, is a very good idea, but
that's the opposite thing. If it's well run.
If it's well run, but that applies to everything. If it is well run, I think the BBC is a tremendous, tremendous place.
When do you think the BBC was extremely well run?
Not when I was there. So that's 27 years. No, I mean it's very top heavy. It's very management. There's far too many tiers of management. It's far too difficult to get anything done. They're far too obsessed with quotas and political correctness and so on and so forth. But it does, as we all know, churn out some astonishingly good programmes from time to time. Absolutely brilliant programmes.
Yeah, like Top Gear. Who else wants to ask a question? Yes. Are you Chinese or are you what?
Yeah, I'm originally from China.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Oh, well, thank
what
you.
are you blowing into the thing for?
First, I would say congratulations. This is the first ever completely sold out event I have attended here at the China Exchange.
Well, you're obviously not going to get more often. Get on with it. Stop defaming this institution.
Yes, I have actually purchased a lot more tickets online. I mean, I would attend more of your presidential series events in the future, definitely. Well, let me come to my question for Mr.
About time to.
Okay, yes.
Enjoy it.
Because I'm a foreigner, I do not know much about Mr. Clarkson, so I did some last-minute research.
Oh, no,
and here came an interesting paragraph. It seems from Piers Morgan, something related to your new program. He just said on the Huffington Post article, in an article, and I quote, "Out of pure curiosity, I probably will tune in your program. It is only going to be watched by about 100,000 people, so they'll have to get used to not being big stars in this country anymore. So I would like to know your response. What would be your personal expectation of your program?"
You're sitting here, right? I didn't see you coming in 10 minutes late.
Sorry.
Stop.
We did that.
We've dealt with that right at the beginning. Next question.
We did actually answer that.
We covered that.
Hello.
For God's sake, wake up. If you want to come up to a sold out event, you've got to prick your ears. Even though you're my compatriot. Go on.
Question. What do you make of Tesla's offering, and how many years do you think it will be before the majority of cars on our streets are electric?
Well, I think that in the fullness of time, every single car will be electric, but I hope that we've had the wisdom between now and then to make sure that they're all charged up by hydrogen fuel cells and not by the power stations. Because London, I think, I know Britain at the moment is only able to provide 5% more electricity than we actually use. Well, then that's just because we're charging our laptops and telephones and running electric lights. If we all start charging our cars up as well, we simply will not have the power to do it. And particularly not as we aren't able to build a new nuclear power station because some bats and snails have been discovered near the site. And Brian May's undoubtedly going to find a battery before very long. So there won't be any nuclear power stations, and we won't be able to frack for gas because of Emma Thompson. So we're going to have hydrogen fuel cells, and there is no current legislation that forces car makers to do it, which is a shame. So they're all just going down the path of least resistance and just putting batteries in them.
And because wind farms are absolutely out of the question.
Otherwise, that wouldn't be enough. That wouldn't really work on a car, because it could be generating its own wind as it drove along.
I think you should start.
It's a rather boring answer. Forgive me for that, but I'm right pathological about hydrogen fuel cells because there's no earthly reason why we shouldn't all have them. Hydrogen fuel cells. Let me see if I can make this live for you, because this is why it's a very good idea. You can use in order to get hydrogen, which is the most abundant element in the universe, because you have the sea, which is H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. So you have to separate them. Now let me just make the picture. You separate those two, you get hydrogen. Now that hydrogen can be stored. Leicester University, back in the news again now, Leicester University is developing a credit card on which that gas can be stored. So you just buy, say, 5,000 miles, 10,000 miles, you put it into your car. Your car is completely silent. The hydrogen fuel cell is a silent thing. All that happens is that the hydrogen makes electricity, and then it's turned into water again. So as you drive along, you have a dribble of water coming out of the exhaust, and that's it. And it's charging the batteries that propel the car. So you don't ever need to plug the car in to charge it up, because you're getting it from the hydrogen. And then, and this is a really incredible thing, even if you were to drive a small family hatchback, and you could just go limitless speed, huge power and huge speed are available. They're not milk floats. When you get home at night, you can plug your car into your house, and even if you live in Blenheim Palace, it will generate enough electricity silently with just water coming out of the exhaust pipe to run every appliance in your house. And we're not having this. And all this technology exists now. Because
why?
We're not having it because the complication of making hydrogen, to try and explain this simply, is it costs you, let's call them electricities, units of electricity. It costs you 2 electricities to get 1 electricity. It's enormously energy hungry to make hydrogen, to separate it from water. So the energy you create, let's say you get 1 energy, you use 2 to get it. So you have, but I keep saying, well, if you go to Iceland, where they've got geothermal power, they've got hydroelectric power, they can just make as much hydrogen as you like. It's then transportable, unlike normal electricity. So you can ship it over here in ships, lorries, whatever, and then we fill our cars up with it, same as we do, or either on a credit card or normally.
I don't think so. I think all the money will end up in Panama if you go to Iceland.
Yeah.
Okay.
But hydrogen fuel cells are definitely coming. There are a couple of them. Hyundai has one, but there's only 1 filling station. It's on the North Circular in the whole country.
What do you think about self-driving cars?
They're stupid. Self-driving cars, here's the thing, okay? So you have a self-driving car, wow, it's incredible. Look at that car, it can send it into town, it can find a parking space, it can park in that parking space. Then what? Because if you're not in it, you can't go into a shop and get milk, it can't do a day's work for you, and there's just no point to it at all. I can't understand, it's not like driving to...
And eventually robots and AI will do that.
Well, but you see, here's a great question I've often said. Plane crashes, 80% are caused by pilot error, 80%. Now, all planes are currently capable of flying, and I've seen this happen, it happens every time we go on one, by themselves. You don't need a pilot. So would you get on a plane that had no pilot? Even though it's statistically safe, nobody would. So how would you like to be driving down a road when there's some driverless car company. I don't want to see that. I am going to build one though. For the next series, only, but it's going to be driverless. I'm just going to have a Romanian immigrant in it. Wouldn't be able to do
Thank
that.
God you
If you
said
see
so.
that, you can.
That's a very, how old are you?
Brilliant. He gets a job, I get to, I'm going to put a chaise long on it.
How old are you?
Thank you for it.
How old are you?
Huh?
How old are you?
11.
Excellent.
It
Go on,
is.
ask any
Thank
question.
you.
Can't ask that at the BBC anymore.
Thank you for a very interesting talk. My question is, what have you ever had any great ideas for Top Gear that for some reason you just never got to do?
Yeah, murdering James May. I have that most mornings. Let's murder James May today. And then for some reason he objects to it. No, because I think there are sometimes, we once, we did ambulance, we tried to revolutionise ambulances, which was quite successful apart from them not working. And we did it with police cars, which we then spent months and months thinking, how could we improve on the fire engine? And you can't. Not if you've got to have a ladder and water and then for it to go quite quickly. So no, we wasted a lot of time trying to improve on something that's unimprovable on. Right, anybody else? Yeah.
Yes. A lot of Chinese questions. We have some. There's a Chinese. Are you and then Lady Jessica come up?
Somebody's got the
Yeah,
microphone.
go on. You and then.
So, what can the Top Gear fans of old expect from the new program on Amazon Prime? Can we expect something similar? Will it be something very different?
3 middle-aged men falling over. Are you an IP lawyer? Because if you are, it's extremely different in every way.
Both the new mayors who we've got to vote for are going to continue this policy of narrowing the streets of London and getting rid of cars. I mean, what do you think of that?
Well, it could be worse. We could have a choice between a man with nylon hair and a dishonest woman, which is what they got in America. I know, isn't it? How have we ended up with Carmen, the other one, Thingy, what's he called? Goldsmith.
Yeah.
How have we ended up with that? I just don't understand it. You
No,
just think, is there a box?
so look, is over there? Look, it's there again here.
Is there a box? Yeah, there he is. Look, where we can go or see none of you.
Yeah, but we're being very politically correct. I've asked that poster to be put up, and my CEO said, well, is that politically correct? And I say no, but just stick it up. Anyway, he's much better than Sadiq Khan.
He is a lot better. No, he
He's
is.
not going to win, unfortunately.
He's going to put, he announced last week, he's going to put dot matrix signs on various sort of traffic black spots around the capital that tell pedestrians, everybody I presume, how bad the air quality is that day. And it's like a sign saying falling rocks. What are we supposed to do with this information? I mean, hold our breath. But how long for? How do we know when it's safe to breathe in again? It's just a waste of money. And the embankment, I mean, what was Boris thinking of by, I know, I'll turn this into a cycle lane. I wish he'd stayed on that zip.
The whole of Hyde Park is going to be changed into half of a cycle in a couple of months' time.
What, the middle bit?
The middle bit, yeah, the bit that goes
The way
through. Yeah, and
It's all going to be a cycle though.
it's half of it is going to be cycling, and there will be just 2 narrow lanes of cars. So from 4 lanes traffic, it's being squeezed into 2. Yeah.
We need Nick Soames really in the hot seat. He wouldn't put bicycles with bicycles.
Why don't you run? I mean, did you ever continue for you to run for mayor of London? I mean, you tried to be prime minister once.
No, I didn't.
Well, a lot of people said that 49,000 people said that you ought to be, and you said that you'd be a very bad prime minister.
I know, but the point is that there are 60 million people in the country and only 49,000. That's a lost deposit right there.
No, you can do much. You do quite a lot in the constituency of 49,000. But you said that you would be a crap prime minister anyway.
I could lose interest. I was losing interest.
But if you were a mayor of London, you could improve so many things.
Well, I'd just have every single cycle lane would go, every buses would all go. That would be compulsory. No, but I mean, because buses, there's never anyone on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a little minivan once a week to take old lady to the shop. That's all right. But you don't need huge huge buses.
You're absolutely right. Today I came down Shaftesbury Avenue, I counted the number of buses, 7 of them, and there were fewer than 7 passengers in all of them.
Yeah.
There is. But right at the back. Yes.
How will you be voting in the EU referendum, and why will you be voting that way?
Well, at the moment I'm in. I want to stay in Europe, but that's only maybe so I get the opportunity for another column when I change my mind.
Right.
We're going to keep this feeding the monster that is the Sunday Times, therefore you'd have a column saying I want to stay in, and then you get another one saying I've changed my mind, but I don't think I will.
Hi, a few years ago, I think you called the people who tried to, or who did introduce the shared space scheme in Ashford, idiots.
Yeah.
And I happened to agree with you at the time. Have you ever, or would you ever, go back and review your decision on that?
Oh no, I was wrong. Oh, I was completely wrong. No, because they've done the same thing at the bottom of Exhibition Road in South Kent. And it's fantastic driving down there now. You've got people milling around, you know.
It's terrible. You don't know where the pavement is.
You run a few of them down. You run a few over, but it's okay. They're much. And then but I quite like that sort of gentle way of going. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me.
Also, down that road, you don't know whether it's one way or both ways. There are parts of it which is one way, part of it is both ways, and you always have people driving straight at you, wrongly. It's very ambiguous. It's very woolly, yeah.
It is woolly. I do quite like it though. But you see, this is one of the things I went on Question. I'm hopeless at making my mind up and then sticking with it. I went on Question Time once, and it was when they were bringing in the congestion charge for London, and Ken Livingstone, the then mayor, was against me. And David Dibble, this is the most terrifying thing that can happen to a human being, apart from being eaten by a bear, is being on Question Time when Dibble goes, Jeremy Clarkson from Charles, listening to the question. I assume it must have been about the congestion charge, so I ranted on about how it was iniquitous and stupid, and we've already paid road tax and car tax and VAT on car tax and so on, and we shouldn't have to pay any more just to drive in the capital. And then Ken Livingstone did his bit, and then he came back to me and I just said, no, I agree with him. I completely changed my mind. So I do that quite a lot. Just because I said, if you ask me the same questions again, I probably will have changed my mind. I probably will think of a fire engine that's been improved in a minute.
Yeah, the blonde woman.
Blonde woman.
Over there.
What's your favourite car? Why?
What's your favourite what?
My favourite car, it's a dreary.
It is such a boring.
It's a Lexus LFA.
No, a Volvo, isn't it? 96, 90 or whatever it is, because you think that you can take 6 children to school. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they take the children. That's not my favourite car, it's just a tool. It's like saying, what's my favourite
You haven't got
fridge?
6 children. You haven't got 6 children.
No, I've got 3 children.
So why do you want a car?
Because they always have 900 of their closest personal friends who have to go everywhere with them.
Yes. All right. Okay. The back, yeah, another blonde woman.
Hello.
Hi there. Quick question for you. You mentioned that you rubbed up against the PC police at the BBC. You also mentioned, or the host mentioned rather, that you can get away with doing unspeakable things to horses via Amazon. Are you enjoying the extra editorial freedom that you get at Amazon, and are you concerned that there's no one to actually rein you in?
No, there's no more editorial freedom. I mean, there isn't any. The BBC allowed us to do anything we wanted. They were brilliant like that. It's just that when they hit the fan, which it usually did, it could have been a little bit more supportive from time to time. Whereas Amazon, I don't know, it hasn't hit the fan, so I don't know what Jeff's going to say. Yeah.
It's the fan. It's all going to turn quite pear-shaped. Sorry, are you concerned if it hits the fan, will Amazon turn into another BBC and sort of, make you apologise?
I'll let you know. I'll let you know when it hits the fan.
Do you have an ETA on when?
You can't say that we don't provide good questions and answers. The man with the red thing.
Thank you.
Shirt.
No, it's not a shirt. It's a
top. Well, you were the sweater top, weren't you?
What is it?
Sweater.
Sweater.
No, it's not sweater. It's not a statement. Anyway.
It's not about you. Who is your least favourite celebrity?
Right.
A reasonably nice car.
Next question.
And why?
Go on. Next
I honestly, I wouldn't answer that. I mean, I know some of those things.
A40 all right.
I'll tell you what it is, but there was some, Ranulph Fiennes was a particularly brilliant, we even dropped a film so we could run his interview 6 minutes longer than it was you'd normally have. No, and there were some very short ones. Yeah, but we won't, let's not be unfair to the poor souls. They could have just had a bad day, you just don't know. There would be, I'm not going to do it, I can't drop favourably in it.
Go on.
Or Rick Parfitt.
Or
any of the other short ones. Actually, Eddie Izzard was my biggest disaster because Eddie Izzard, we all know, you've seen him live, the man just is a genius, a rabbit song, and you think it's improv, you think it's all just coming off the top of his head. And so unusually, I did no research at all on him, because I thought, well, there's no point, and it's Eddie Izzard, for Christ's sake, you just ask him anything, and then I could sit back and relax while he entertains the crowd, fantastic. So he sat down, and my first question was, so tell me, what winds you up on the road? So I thought, well, you know, the icebreaker, and he went, oh, I don't really know, people driving in the middle lane? I know nothing, I don't know what to ask. That was a particularly difficult half an hour of my life, that one was.
Right, go on. Hi Jeremy, out of the 3 hybrid hypercars, the P1, the 918 and the LaFerrari, which one gave you the greatest adrenaline dump or gave you...
the McLaren is by far and away the biggest adrenaline pump. It is a widowmaker, that thing. It's absolutely terrifying. It's so fast. You haven't got time to think, well, I must stop now. It's sort of accelerate his tree dead. I mean, that's really the only way that you could get out of that. It's mind-blowingly terrifying. We've actually got it in the new series. We've done the comparison of the 3. So you'll be
how many programs have you done?
Well, it doesn't work like that. We're in the middle of sort of filming. I mean, I've got to be somewhere in Bournemouth at 8 o'clock in the morning to do the next bit. So you just sort of film and film and film, and then when we've got enough film, we'll put it all together and show it on the internet.
Yeah, over there. Man with a perfect haircut.
That is parted by laser, isn't it?
You said the P1 is the most exhilarating car. However, multiple road tests have now shown that the 918 is quicker. Will you deliver on your promise?
I was asked which was the most exciting car.
Yes.
And that is the McLaren, is the most
yes,
exciting.
But you said the one that would go quickest around the track, depending on whether it was a...
well, no, you see, you're going to have to fork out your £85, miss your next haircut, and get Amazon Prime, because we've done that. We're answering that question for you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay. You see, we aren't allowed to use that because of IP. I actually made an even bigger bet in the next series if that McLaren isn't the fastest. Anybody else? Any more non-McLaren related questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Before discovering that you couldn't use it, what was your favourite name for the show?
I liked Speedbird because it had a grace and an elegance to it. It had a sort of panache. It was everything we weren't. Which is, I really like the idea of calling it sort of something that conjures up a vision of a little tern, a little bird dancing in the sunlight, and then us 3 clomping overweight. Exactly. No, but it was a brilliant name. You didn't think it was a brilliant name?
But it's not possible.
No, it's not possible because it belongs to David Brown, as in the Aston Martin people. So we can't have it. Not British Airways, weirdly, even though it's the call sign for all their aeroplanes. So no, we can't have that one either. We've got to be your shoes and socks. James May is an arse. I even looked into that. We can't have that.
Well, what are you going to do if you don't come up?
We've got 8 days.
8 days?
8 days. We're off to film on. We do a special every year, a sort of Christmas thing. And we're going to go and film it in 7 days, actually.
Have you considered running an open competition?
7 days, and we have to have a name registered and owned by then. It is going to be called Dingleberries or something. Actually no, we'll go there because we may end up calling it that.
If you could present with
Without James Hammond or James May, who would you like to present with?
James Hammond or James May? Richard Hammond. Even I know their names. If I could present without one of them? Without both of them?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm swelling at the thought of that. Actually becoming priapic. Well, I can't remember the question. I'm so excited by the notion of not working with them anymore. What is it? What was the question? Which one do I most want to get rid of? James.
The original question was, if you had to get rid of both of them, who else would you have as a couple who would...
Oh, I don't know. I would hope that you'd go and find two people. It's one of the surprises that Chris has done. That everybody is sort of known on Top Gear. I would have gone off and got young motoring journalists, but and that's what I do. If she was the best at the job, definitely. You know, I mean, there's no reason. It's like you just go for whoever's best at the job, and if they're, it doesn't really matter what shaped chest they've got.
Yeah, but if they were particularly
attractive, I knew you were going to say that.
And good at the job, you would.
But they need to be good at the job first. If you have two identically good at their job people, and one was a man and one was an attractive woman, you'd take the attractive woman, obviously.
Well, I won't ask you what sort of job. Any other question? Yes, over that. And then this one.
Thanks. Jeremy, alluding to what you said earlier about how if you're asked a question, you'll often change your mind if you're asked it again.
Yeah.
Thinking back to that,
I wouldn't do that.
Thinking back to that episode in Argentina that caused all the hoo-ha with the number plate, and you emphatically told us then it was a 10 million to 1 coincidence. Would you change your answer?
No, that was. I still don't even think it was a coincidence, because you have to, every number plate, if you wanted to, you could make it say something offensive or abusive.
But not FKL.
No, I know. 982, even worse. It was actually the year of the conflict. But I mean, we've got. Trust me on this. The BBC really didn't like this, and they investigated that, and investigated it, and investigated it. They went through every email, They interviewed everyone involved in the purchase of the car, the shipping of the car, who'd actually authorised that particular car, and they couldn't find anything, because there wasn't anything, which suggested that it was in any way a put-up job, because it just wasn't. The first I knew, I was in Chile, actually, and somebody put on Twitter that that number plate a reference to the Falklands War. And I remember showing it to the cameraman going, oh, for Christ's sake, you know what this is going to do now. And sure enough, it did. I mean, much worse than we could have guessed. No, they're just a bolshy bunch of war-losing. If I ever go back there again, it'll be W3WON. We won. No time for them. I'm very glad Spurs lost last night with a hideous Argentinian manager.
But Leicester, you mentioned that the Leicester University has got this hydrogen technology. In Leicester City, which is one of odds of 5,000 to 1 becoming.
I know. I was there at the Stamford Bridge last night to watch them clinch it.
Were you there?
I was there. Anybody else at Stamford Bridge?
Yeah, you were.
Probably heard us. What a noise! That was just epic. Really, really good fun.
You were at the Stamford Bridge when they drew.
Yeah.
But when the first goal went in, did your heart sink? You're probably on your...
Oh, no. Well, Spurs beating Chelsea, that would be the end of the world. Hasn't happened for 26 years, so I didn't want that to happen. But then when the second one went in, and do you know, I've been writing about this morning, so forgive me, but it was... What I love about football is the Spurs team. They've worked very hard, they've trained, and there they were, not faced with the prospect of beating Chelsea for the first time in 26 years, but also keeping their championship dream alive. And then that second goal goes in, and they know their championship is over. And you can imagine how desperate they feel. And how did the Chelsea fans respond? It was how did he go? It was 2-0, and he teared up. Just think, can you imagine in any other walk of life, and the one I wrote about this morning, beginning making my own material, my own newspaper column, but it was the same in Amazon, stopped off at Scott's tent on the way back from "You're dead and you lost the race." You just don't do that in any other walk of life. You don't openly laugh at someone who's just lost something. And I think we should. I mean, I think it's going to be a brilliant thing to introduce where you just laugh at people who cocked up. Instead of putting your arm around going, oh, are you all right? No!
Are you very happy for Leicester?
I'm very happy for Leicester. I mean, that's a great story.
Do you think the monks had anything to do with the holy water and the chanting?
No, well, no.
5,000 to 1, only a holy intervention could have achieved.
No, it's just, what it is there was, I don't know if anybody follows rugby, I once went to watch the Wasps, which at the time was basically the England rugby team, Delalio and so on playing for them, and they were playing a part-time team of forklift truck drivers from Solihull called the Potence Bees. I mean, nobody had ever heard of them, and there they were, these two teams, massively unmatched, up against one another, and the Potence Bees won because they were playing with more heart. And you can have as much skill as you like, but when you're up against some properly determined opposition, and once they'd won a few matches and they had the belief that they could win, and then they was thinking, we can actually do this, and the power that they had in their hearts, they could run rings and have run rings around anybody. So I don't think it was your monks, I just think it was human nature. And it's a delightful, brilliant story, and I hope they make a film out of it, because I'd like to watch it.
Well, anyway, I've asked the owner, Mr. Vijay, to come with holy water. I want to soak all my handkerchiefs in them and everything else, because I know that anything that I didn't think I would ever achieve would probably happen if I soak my clothes in just holy water.
Well, you catch a chill is what you catch.
Hi, you have been to many countries, you're very special. Is there any location that you've not been there yet where you would love to visit and do a show, Top Geek-ish style?
Yeah, no, there are very few countries left that I haven't been to. I think 6 or 7, I think, is all that's left. And North Korea doesn't hold much.
Have you tried?
No. I'd like to go to Iran, where we weren't allowed to go, BBC weren't allowed in. No, they didn't allow Ski Sunday in. I couldn't work that one out at all.
They can't ski or something?
No, I don't know. In the programme, Ski Sunday was banned by the Iranians. I thought, well, that's controversial. So we stood no chance. But I mean, we could go now, and I'd quite like to go to Iran. But other than that, or we'll just endlessly go back to Botswana, which is our favourite place to film.
Why?
Have you been to Botswana?
Yes.
It's I just find it's great. There are no people sticking their noses in and saying, "Can I have a selfie?" One photo. You know, you can actually get on and make a very good height. Fabulous.
It's the same all over Africa.
No, we like filming in Africa most of all. And Botswana's the sort of quietest, most peaceful, lovely place to work in.
Who's that?
Where are you from?
Hong Kong.
Oh, Hong Kong, okay. No, we once did a live show there, and I apologise if you were at it because I cut it short. Because we
Why is that?
Because the light show along the front was at 8 o'clock every night. I think it was 8 o'clock. And our show didn't finish till 8:20 every night, and I was so off that on the last night I just cut massive chunks of it out so that I could go and watch the light show. So if you were at that show, very sorry.
Thank God we gave you a steak properly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not allowed to talk about that. Anybody else?
Yes, come on.
A few years ago I used to work on Dead Ringers.
Used to?
Work on Dead Ringers. I wondered what you thought of John Colshaw's impression of you.
Oh, I never saw it. Who's John Colshaw?
Well, you can't
I bet he was very good. Was he very good? Or was he very bad? Whatever he was very good. I never saw it. What's it called? Dead Ringers. I'm not really a big television watcher. I know it's a terrifying thing to say, but I watch Game of Thrones and then I'm too exhausted to watch anything else.
Are you excited by the sex in the Game of Thrones?
Yes. Well, yes. Except, are there any people here who actively don't like Game of Thrones? Good, that's fine. But Karen, no, you know Khaleesi, the blonde girl who runs she's got to get on. No, but she's got to get on with that handmaiden of hers. That's really what's keeping me going in Series 5, because everybody's had sex with everybody else apart from those two. And they're by far the most attractive girls in it, so I'm sitting thinking, well, come on, get on with it.
How about the woman in the night manager? I can't remember.
Oh, yes, no, the tall girl.
Yes. Were you excited?
Yeah, no, she was very beautiful.
Yeah.
She was very beautiful.
But not so much in Dr. Foster. Did you watch Dr. Foster?
Do you know?
I mean, an ugly woman, but my God, I mean, by episode 5, I was biting into the armchair.
No, there was, the night manager, the one that made me cross was, he went to the swimming pool and then he arrived in the house, you probably saw this, with dry trousers. And everybody was going, how did he do that? I just thought, it's a drama. Do we have to really get bogged down with the dryness of Tom Hiddleston's trousers? You're going to ask me about Tom Hiddleston's trousers now, aren't you?
No.
Go on.
Are you controversial in your personal life, like at parents' evenings and things like that?
Am I what, sorry?
Controversial in your personal life?
No, parents' evenings. Oh God, no, I sit on my school chair and just go, yes sir, no sir, no sir. No, absolutely. No, you've got the kids, no, not at all. They've got enough trouble with having me for a father without me raising Mary Hell at their school.
Did they actually try to disown you sometimes?
Yeah.
All the time?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought taking boxing as a hobby and hit it properly?
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like boxing. I don't even like filming.
You were really good with Piers Morgan. He said that you knocked something in his head.
Maybe making that up. Yeah, it has happened before. But
It's a good miss. I mean, he's got a big head.
Yeah, no, he's right. Yeah, and a very attractive one to hit. Anybody else?
How come there's no questions on
No,
this?
there's this poor chap, he's got, is it a shorter one than before?
Yeah.
What is it?
My question is, you have an opinion on the EU referendum. Do you also have an opinion? No. It's not related to the EU referendum. Tell us more of your views on the mayoral election this week.
Not the mayoral election as well.
Not the mayoral election.
What do you do for a living?
Are you
a memory
I write something. I do writing.
You write for whom?
For a lot of magazines, blogs,
Which you can't
and things like that.
Okay, no, we've answered all those questions.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Okay.
No, maybe later we'll think of something we haven't talked about.
So, at what point in your life did you realise that writing about cars and like motoring journalism and presenting was what you really wanted to do? Like, when did you think that's where my life is going?
I know it was, well, I sort of forced myself to do it because I ended up in London and I thought, I can't work for anyone else, that would be ridiculous. So I forced myself to have an idea a day for a business, and then every morning I'd wake up and think that was crap. And then I'd spent 3 years working on the Rotherham Advertiser, which wasn't very good, I must admit. But I'd never forgotten that while I was there, we had to go on block release courses at Sheffield Journalism College, and there's a chap from the Harrogate Herald. He would come along, and he turned up one morning in a brand new Lancia HPE. We were like 19 I said, where did you get that from? He said, great gig. He said, get a little column in the paper. He said, you can borrow a car and then review it, and then they take the car away at the end of the week, and then you get another one. You're joking. He said, no, for real, so here I am. That was what my idea for business was, to review cars for lots of different local newspapers, and then somebody from Top Gear, the then producer way back in old Top Gear, rang me up and said, could I come and be on the telly? Actually, John Bentley, who's a host on the Gadget Show, he was the producer that gave me my job.
Yes. Yeah.
You've had some fantastic guests on the old show. Was there anyone that you weren't able to get on, or is there anyone you'd really like to be on the show?
Guests?
Yep.
Well, yeah, interestingly, Gary Lineker, who was, just to, about Argentina, the idea was we were going to finish up down there with a game of car football played in cars, Argentina versus the UK, and you can pretty much stage, we do this in the live show, so you can pretty much stage manage, well not stage manage, but one team could go ahead. Well, we were going to be drawing with 30 seconds to go, make a substitution, get James May off, and our surprise guest would be Gary Lineker, and he was going to come out. And then as the ball went across the goal mouth, he was going to hand it in, payback for Maradona. That was going to be the end of our programme, that was the plan. And Gary Lineker was actually at Heathrow Airport when they hit the fan down there, and we had to ring him up and say, Gary, really sorry, go home, don't come out here, it's all gone wrong. And then about a year later, he was booked to come on and actually be a guest and do Star in a Reasonably Priced Car. And that was the week of the fracas. The show was then cancelled and that was that, so Gary never went on it. So yeah, I'd quite like to do something with Gary in the new one, for sure.
And who was the worst?
Well, it just been through that.
I was influenced by this man. Don't ask another question.
Sorry?
Do you have a guest on the new show?
Guest? Probably.
Have you done one yet?
No, I haven't done one yet.
Who would you like to have?
Well, when we were in Argentina,
do you want to ask that question again? Okay, last question. Yes, this man, the host of it.
Will you be revisiting any of the featured presentations on your new show that you had on Top Gear?
Beaches.
No, will you be revisiting some of the featured presentations on your new show?
No, God no, that's all new. No, it's all very new. That's yes, no, and that's not even if you are allowed. It is a very new show. It just happens to be hosted by us three. So yeah, we're not, there's nothing's the same. Well, it's the same sort of thing, but not the same idea.
It's quite nice to end the programme with two bold questions.
You did a documentary on the BBC, you did an article about Kingdom Brunel. Do you have any ambitions to do any documentaries about something else other than cars?
Yeah, farming.
Pretty good.
Is this working? Yes, I do want to do my documentary. I'm determined now to do my documentary on farming. And the problem I did do three. I did war type ones, the Arctic convoys, the raid on Saint Nazaire, and the Victoria Cross one. And the problem is that you get these old boys to actually come and who were there and tell you what it was like and what actually happened, which I find the best bit in them. But tragically, but obviously, they've all now died. I mean, when we made that last one, the Arctic convoy one, about PQ-17, and interviewed 9 people, and between interviewing them and the programme going out, 3 had died, which means it's just not possible to make that type of programme anymore. The only route you can go down is the dreaded dramatic reconstruction, which is not very good actors with stupid face hair glued on, going over there, sir. So
but you thought the man that Brunel was not very good.
No, but it was a good enough programme that, but it was it's the only programme
I've ever done.
I am, but it's the only programme I've ever presented that I didn't write. So,
why didn't you bring up that extraordinary episode where he was showing, I think, a trick to his children, and he swallowed it, and nobody can get it out of his
artery forceps.
Well, that couldn't get it, and eventually his father, I think, turned him upside down on a board, and eventually it dropped. So not even his own invention was good enough. So I always question, how come he failed at the moment when he could have saved his own life?
Failed?
Or failed to with an invention that could have taken that coin out of his lung.
Well, he did. He invented artery forceps. He actually did invent something. No, during his agonies, he was actually inventing.
I know, but he didn't take it. It didn't work.
No, they didn't actually. I don't think anybody shoved them far enough down.
No, his father then turned him upside down.
Yeah, and then gave him up.
So my question was exactly that. He invented this forceps, which did not work. And he's the greatest engineer of all time, and he failed to save his own life.
It's probably quite tricky to invent something when you're shaking to death. I couldn't invent anything but...
One very last question.
I've done it! Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed Top Gear for years.
Thank you very much.
For me, the special has been great, particularly the South American one. I'm just wondering exactly how much we were conned by the photography, particularly on the Death Road sequence, because it was just one of the...
Oh, the Death Road in Bolivia, not the Argentinian one. You weren't conned. I've actually got some footage, oh no, it's not on that iPhone, but I would dearly love to show you, because I knew that back home everyone was saying, you didn't really do that. But I sat and I had my iPhone and went, so it was me in the car, and then went out of the window and it was 1,000 feet straight down, and the tyres were so over the edge that they was crumbling, so only half the tyres were actually on the cliff. This was on Death Road in Bolivia. No, I mean, it had to be done, and I noticed that my colleague's car that day, if you will have noticed in the film, both conveniently broke down that day, so they were so long fixing them, they drove up on the brand new motorway, which took hours and hours and hours, whereas I went up on Death Road. And, God, it's have you been there?
No, I'd love to go.
No, don't. What's interesting is the sheer number of graveyards along that road. I mean, huge numbers of them, and now it's really popular among cyclists who go down there, and they all fall off. And it's literally nothing funnier. Just watching them like lemmings coming off.
Butch Cassidy and Sundance did go there in Bolivia.
They were well, Argentina. No, it was Argentina. We actually went to the house where they hold out. Well, apparently, according to some man who said, for you, my friend, special price, look around houses where Butch Cassidy was. So but they were Argentina, not Bolivia.
Well, we're over around 5 minutes there. Listen, everybody, first of all, thank you very much, Jeremy, and will you all please join me in thanking Jeremy Clarkson. Here for the first time. Quite a lot. So look, listen, please come back. We have fun talks, and you can see from our program we've got some extraordinary people coming. Not so funny is Tim Bell tomorrow, perhaps, but nonetheless fairly erudite. And then we have the wizard of Matthew Freud on Thursday, and then next week and so forth. So please come back.
Can I come to Matthew's?
Yes, you can, absolutely. Can I ask him a few tricky questions, as he's quite tricky himself. Anyway, I want you also to join me in a round of applause for this gentleman for asking 2 brilliant questions.